Hi there. Moonlight's come to visit. I was just sitting here pondering, and I find an interesting thing, and that's that until I start journaling, a lot of times I can ponder or contemplate something, and I won't get very far with it. But as soon as I start to journal, whether with the written word or with the webcam, I get more. So it's not the most cheerful mood that brings me here. I was just sitting here thinking what a very primitive place this is, this world and this day and age. All the energy and serious investigation put into things such as do UFOs exist? Is there life elsewhere? Is reincarnation real? And these are things that are just basic and available. And it's disappointing, you know? You can't go anywhere with some real development on things when so many people question their very existence. And I was wondering, why would a soul want to come into this? Why leave knowledge behind? Who wants it? I mean, to be in ignorance on things. What is it that calls us into incarnating in these circumstances? And especially when you look at people that have the near-death experience, the NDE, and immediately when they leave the body, things are so drastically different for them that everything, absolutely everything that had value and worth here, it's like it was a veil and it's gone, and everything is seen to be unimportant. Everything. Even a mom who dies in childbirth, looking forward to the child, all of that, and suddenly everything is just seen in a different light. Many people, if their death experience is extensive enough, if they're dead long enough, will get what some call downloads of knowledge and information that's really intense, and it's boundless, covering everything. So, if knowledge is that close, extensive, unlimited knowledge, what draws us into a state where it's not accessible, consciously anyway? What are we trying to do here? I don't think it's to gain knowledge, frankly. I mean, knowledge is that close. We have people, as a for instance, like, well, he's the only one I know of. We have Mellon Thomas Benedict, who has the ability to go into the light of the NDE at will, and he does it daily. Spends a lot of time there, has been extensively studied, tested, brought back all kinds of findings and understandings from the other side. And he said in an interview once with George Noory, he's been on Coast to Coast AM a number of times, he said that he was told while he was on the other side, don't be surprised if the people aren't as interested in what you bring back as you would like them to be or as interested as you would think they would be. He said he was told that right now mankind is far more interested in the questions than they are in the answers. I find that pretty strange, but I guess Mellon would talk to it. I just wish the guy would write. But he's following his bliss, which is invention. He likes things to be very practical. And so even though he spends, he says, 3 hours a day writing on what he finds on the other side, so far he hasn't published any books so that we can know more. But you see, knowledge is that close, and it's extensive. Knowledge, I believe, is also contained in the DNA. I think that may even be what they call the Book of Life. I don't know. But the knowledge is there and available. And why do we need to keep reinventing the wheel? If it exists, let's find it. So I don't think we're here to gain knowledge. So why? I'll go way out in left field here with this one. A story is told, and I'm thinking it's with Patricia Corey, who would be speaking on behalf of the Syrian High Council, she calls them, from the star Sirius, that there was a truly advanced mankind and advanced civilization here eons and eons ago. And this is a free will universe, though. And if you're going to have a free will universe, you know, people have to have the freedom to choose poorly, what one would call poorly. They have to be able to choose things that are negative as well as things that are positive. And as we know, those who choose the dark have a different set of standards, and they don't have any ethics that we would recognize as that. I'm sure they have their own. But they're willing to do things and to go to lengths and extents that people who are on the other path, the path of light, just wouldn't do. And so often in a wartime situation or footing, you'll find that the dark side will win because the light side will not stoop to the underhanded kind of things and to the mass killings and just all of that sort of thing. And so the light is handicapped in those kind of instances. Or so it seems. I mean, you know, who am I to know such things? That's just how things seem to me. So anyway, the tale is told that there was a group that came through our galaxy and discovered us here and decided they wanted to run things. And so there was a fight and there was a war in order to protect life as it was here, a war which the good guys lost. As the story is told, the guys, the bad guys, if you will, I mean, good and bad are ridiculous words, but for the moment, you know, they convey what I'm trying to say. So the bad guys set up a force field around the planet that prevented interaction with it. And so Earth was effectively cut off. And then there was, I don't know whether it was something in the force field that was put around the planet or how it was done, but mankind went from 12-stranded DNA down to 2. And it's a pretty severe limitation. And lived like that for a long time. And so we find ourselves where we are today. Truth is almost nowhere to be found. I've heard that a lot of children, not all of them, but a lot of children born today have 3 strands of DNA. Now, the scientists would know that, but truth not being found, it's not told. Scientific developments and so on are kept secret and kept for the advantage of those running things. And so we don't really know. Our history has been all but taken from us, rewritten, altered, tucked away in places like the Vatican Library. It's the biggest one I know of. I'm sure there are many private collections and so on as well. But that's one that everyone knows about. And it's extensive. I think it's like miles of stacks, you know, where things are kept hidden away. It's amazing that we put up with it. But somehow we do. So why would we sign on for this kind of a tour of duty where truth isn't respected or even made available, much less respected? Knowledge isn't really found. And life isn't easy here. What are we after? I don't know. I'm not saying that that story I just told is true. It's a story. You know, in a world like this, all that can be is a possibility. One possibility among many for why things are the way they are now. They do seem to be improving. Frequencies do seem to be rising. It's a certainty that the levels of secrecy that have been maintained for centuries, maybe millennia, are all but falling apart. A lot of things that went on behind closed doors are not exactly shouted from the housetops, but, you know, there is an alternative media that reports on them. And so that's happening. You can point to some things. But I'm still wondering why. What do we want? Why would we ever come here? I guess I'm really grateful that there haven't been mass suicides in order to just check out. It's really hard, you know? And yet, between one breath and the next, it can all resolve itself, as is demonstrated in hundreds of NDEs, where suddenly your whole perspective shifts. It's a thing of perspective and vision. If I had to say what's the one key, I might say it's perspective. If I had to say what's the one answer, I would have to say it's love. But as far as the key to freedom, I think perspective is powerful. Being able to shift and see from the other guy's eyes. Okay, I guess I wish this had led somewhere a bit more cheerful, or I had come up with a deeper layer of understanding on why am I here? Why did I sign on for it? I mean, if it's all not real anyway, and the minute we check out, we kind of like don't care about it. Why are we here? Is it really a prison planet? I don't know. I mean, that's how it seems to me to be. And yet, with knowledge so close, I think until we get out from under the system of money, I don't see how anything can change. It's like if we look at just a few thousand years ago, we've got buildings still standing, parts of them, that are positively ancient. They were built to last. We've got buildings that took decades and more to put up. And what do we have today in the West? We have an obscenity called planned obsolescence to keep the fat cats rolling in money. Even the light bulbs you buy are built to such a low standard, they're designed to blow out. They're designed to only last so long. Everything is. Your car, your house, all of it. I heard something today about the trees that are grown so fast for the pulp industry, the wood industry, don't have the strength, and the buildings and things made with them, it's just not like it once was. So what we have today is we have the look of things without the substance. What are we after here? I don't know, and it's so strange too, because on my path, moving toward awakening, I seem to take my biggest leaps by letting things go, and sometimes it's really painful. Losing basically the 3D identity, all the beliefs and everything, that doesn't go down very easily, and I'm one who's eager to shed the whole thing. And so I work with it, and I'm cooperative, and even so, we find that we've invested a lot of ourself in those beliefs. We've identified with them. And so when we find that they are false, that's a death sentence for that part of ourself that we've invested in that. And, you know, we can see it sooner and sooner. We can see it faster as we spend more time in heart, and we're more contemplative, we're more quiet. And with the focus turned inward instead of outward. See, that's another big thing. When we want to change things on the outside, I find the way to do this is by changing them on the inside. That's not exactly intuitive. I mean, it's not logical. It's not something you come to. It's just something that seems to work. And so it's an upside down and backwards kind of place to be. And I don't know, you know, one of my journals was, why are we here? Are we crazy or what? Are we crazy to be here? I don't know. You tell me. Talk to you again soon. Hi there. Moonlight's come to visit. I was just sitting here pondering, and I find an interesting thing, and that's that until I start journaling, a lot of times I can ponder or contemplate something, and I won't get very far with it. But as soon as I start to journal, whether with the written word or with the webcam, I get more. So go anywhere with some real development on things when so many people question their very existence. And I was wondering, why would a soul want to come into this? Why leave knowledge behind? who wants it? I mean, it's not the most cheerful mood that brings me here. I was just sitting here thinking what a very primitive place this is, this world and this day and age. All the energy and serious investigation put into things such as do UFOs exist? Is there life elsewhere? Is reincarnation real? And these are things that are just basic and available. And it's disappointing, you know. You can't